did you take your training?
Which of the training are you referring to, sir?
ATU training.
I did not take an ATU training. I was a trainee in planning, sir.
Where were you doing the training?
Pardon me, sir?
Where?
Where was I doing? I'm not getting your question, sir.
Where were you training officer?
I was a training officer at Congo camp. That's on the Ralphie Highway.
Okay. So you are now aware of happenings at the Batala base?
No, sir, I'm not aware of that, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Commissioner Pearl Mr. Samuel Nimely.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name, they call you PI. Is that a name that was given to you by your family, or what did PI stand for?
It was given to me by my family and friends.
Oh, family and friends. Okay, thanks for coming to participate in this process. You are a valuable witness, and we are in the process of talking about religion and culture and tradition. So before going into this questioning, I see you have on a hat, the only round hat that look like
it is referred to as a keeper.
a keeper.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, which tradition or which religion wears keep up for those in Radio Land and those sitting here and someone like me who don't know? Can you explain it? Jewish?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's very good, because today we talk about Christianity and we talk about Muslim. Now that you have someone sitting in that seat who is Jewish, can you just tell us, because this whole week we're talking about religion, Christianity, the role of religion in a conflict. Can you tell us when you became a Jewish person, or what about your religion and the role of it here also, if anything? Because now looking at the position you held between the period 1991 to 2003, and especially anti-terrorist unit, and now seeing your religion for what you profess to be, we can also, can you tell us about your religion and the role that it played during this period?
Ma'am, for the information, I became a Jew after the time and did specify in this letter, ma'am.
Or when you became?
It was after the 2003.
Thank you, but since we're having institutional hearing for the future for this country, how we can maintain peace, stability, justice, and tell the truth. So we are making recommendations also. So now that even for religion, and you became after, for 2003, can you tell us maybe a little more about your religion?
Yes, ma'am.
Like how many people here, what the role of it here, what they do here, where you are located or whatever, or how you became. Just for the information and knowledge, because people talk about it's personal, so it's nothing bad. But we talk about now, since this is the institutional hearing for religion, and we talk about Christianity today, but the guy was not here, and we talk about people Islam. So God just made it for someone from another faith to be present. You know, because so that will show that we just don't have two religions in this country, we have Baha, we have the Voice of Peace, what they used to call it Momo, and others. So maybe since you just became, you could maybe enlighten our minds a little bit, if you care to.
Well, ma'am, since I'm a new convert, I will seek the counsel of a rabbi who will come here and be able to answer your questions and our questions together. So when I leave here, I will get in touch with the rabbi and see if I can get him to come and sit and answer those questions as it relates to religions.
Because you said that you got instructions also in the ATU under Momo Jiba and Jesse Winnie, and your instructions came from your commander-in-chief, Chuckie Taylor.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I understand recently too that he's doing Judaism, because I think on a day, one day, of the Jewish faith, he didn't go for testimony. So this is what I wanted to find out,
Oh, okay.
yes,
Well, Madam Commissioner, my move has nothing to do with him. His move have nothing to do with mine.
All right. But at least you Judaism, but with all the rabbi doing, there's something you should know at least a little more about it, that you will be able to confess it in public. Notwithstanding, let's go to, you say you are a trainer for the ATU. A trainer means someone like a teacher who will teach someone. And this is anti-terrorism. Now, you are a trainer. To train, you had the numeric strength 1,005. So within the 1,500 people, perhaps you could have trained, I'm sure, no more than 10. And my colleague Sheikh asked you, where did you get your training from? So can you tell me, where did you get your training from in anti-terrorism to be able to teach people who were supposed to be close to the mansion to protect the president, the family, and other people? Where did you get your training from as an expert? Because this is a real expert area in security.
Ma'am, my training was done not during the administration of former President Taylor, but rather was earlier done when I was then at the Ministry of National Defense.
Okay. So then, between the period of 1991 to 1996, that was when you served at the Ministry of Defense. So then, at the Ministry of Defense, the record you want to say were training people for anti-terrorism, against anti-terrorism. There were people training people there, because if you look at the period 1991 to 1996, we had then the interim national government, the interim government of national unity, for which you had Amon Sawyer as the chief, so you could say almost the commander-in-chief. Then you had Pomampo, you had Sankawolo, you had Ruth Perry, who, although they had something like a collective presidency, but within that period of time, in review, you had Octopus 1992, you had 1996, you had this April 6th. So that's when you got your training. So who were the group that were training you at the Ministry of Defense, if you like to speak on that?
Oh, yes, ma'am. At the time indicated, I was not a policy maker at the time. Those who were then the policy makers thought it necessary to train such an outfit in such discipline, military skills.
All right. So then, within that period of time, So what you want to say that the 1,500 people that you all had as ATU, some of them came from the AFL or at the Ministry of Defense that went on this similar training?
Yes, ma'am. The recruiting was a broad-based one. I'm speaking this in reference to the ATU. That was done. The one that was done under the Ministry of Defense at the time has a different team.
You know why? Because during testimonies out of Monrovia, when we went to the counties, we have witnesses who talk about this at Batala. There was certain training that they had people on the ground. Remember, in such a small place there that some would stay for days. They did name people whose name are here that you work on. So some people testify how they were killed and they had to stay underground in that confinement somewhere less than a graveyard. And a lot of people died there, and that's the training. In fact, we had a lady, they call her names. Some ladies who testified, a lady who testified that she went on that kind of training there at Batala with the ATU. So as a trainer, then you train them. How long the training went from? Because some lady who testified, I remember very well. I think she testified in Mount Gibby. I have oversight for Mount Gibby. They call her Pussy Face or something like that. Yeah, Pussy Face or so. And she testified she survived. But they testified that they went on a tremendous training, more than rigorous, with that group. So then can you tell us, all the anti-terrorism, can you tell us, without breaching your security code or so, but can you tell us that what kind of training that these people underwent? That some of them died? Or what was the discipline? What kind of punishment you gave them for getting out of line? Because we do have evidence that, this whole, that they put them under there, some, to sleep, and the rigorous training that they gave, and the names of associated with some of the people on this paper here. So we want to know what kind of training you went on. What did you give them?
Yes, ma'am. In response to that recruit that underwent such, as she termed it, hard training, it's one of those unfortunate situations that have occurred, and it is not strange to the Army. Army all over the world get these similar complaints and what have you. Again, it's just unfortunate that it had to happen to her. And what I do know that while on my watch, I had no casualty. So it's a sad thing. It's a regrettable thing that it had to happen to her at the time.
On your watch, you had no casualty, but there were many other people wearing watches during the period up to 2003. So on your watch, there were no casualty. But are you aware, because you were very close to those in command and those who were wearing watches, maybe the alarm came on. So were you aware of any alarm or during that time, or not anybody else watched that were alarming that there were some casualties, or there were some people who stepped out of line? If you want to use the word atrocity, but that step out of line or so.
Affirmative, ma'am.
Harm or wrong?
Affirmative, ma'am.
For example, you talk the truth. You took your boat.
Yeah, there were incidents of during training. Like there's also incident of injury during the present training of our new armed forces of Liberia. What we do in the army is when these things occur, the person is taken to the medic for prompt action. The last time I can remember, even the new army that's been trained by PAE, there was one recruit that came and brought his recruiter to the Temple of Justice and was claiming that the recruiter hit him with a bayonet. And we had a big drama over at the Temple of Justice. So what happened there is not strange to the army. But I do admit here that there were incidents of such, and those that were unfortunately hurt in the process of training were taken for medical attention.
And the ATU was established after 1997, right?
I don't want to comment on the date. I don't know exactly when it was formed after.
Oh, but
because I did not become a part of that outfit until 2001, madam.
No, 2001.
When I did come in, when I got on board, it was already a formed entity.
Sometimes I think we learn from past experiences that and all of us in radio land and some of us in positions that we need to learn a little more about the establishment that we become part of. Most of us are guilty that we just come into things and sit there just and perform our duties without really knowing much about the entity that now we've seen that it will show that we need, because like now when you even go for interview for a job, it's required that you know so much about the company and know so much about the position that you come in to hold. You know, because when you ask about it, sometimes the people know a little more about where they're coming into. They might have a second thought about joining it or becoming a part instead of just looking at the pecuniary aspect or whatever title or emoluments that come there too. Because we see now that people are become liable for, by association, malfeasing and non-feasing. That is for us to know for the future. But since the purpose of the anti-terrorist unit was to protect the commander-in-chief, his family, and other relevant symbolic structures or individuals, can you say within the period that you became, did you or the ATU had an occasion or something that came about that they had to perform the duties in respect to protecting the president, or whether there was incident or event that you can remember that you had to really protect or anti-terrorists and then terrorists or people who are supposed to be terrorists? Can you remember any occasion? Because we're doing history and documenting events.
Okay. To answer your first question, ma'am, when I decided to join the anti-terrorist unit, I was at the age of 31. So it was not a scenario where I didn't know what I was going into. I'm of the conviction that if any person or group, now I have the Constitution to back me on that, takes up arms against the Constitution and government, we have the sworn duty to protect this country from both domestic and foreign threats. And that's exactly what I was doing. At the point of time, our government was under attack from a foreign force, and I believe as a Liberian it was my responsibility to take up whatever I could find to defend the Constitution. Fortunately, at that time, my choice of weapon was the ATU. So mine going to the ATU was not half thought through. It was a full decision that was made by me. And to the second question, from the time I joined the unit to the time that former President Taylor left Liberia, we were in a hot zone. Every day and every night was a hot day. The reason why the people on the streets of Monrovia or the people in Liberia did not see these threats was because we were trained to utilize these threats before they became visible. So that's why today there is no visible evidence of any terrorist threat on then the president.
Thank you very much. With regards to what I was alluding to those to remember, when I asked you when the ATU was established, you said you were not really aware of when it was established.
In terms of date and time?
Yeah or so, but you remember you joined 2001.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what I'm referring to, because it's very important to know for more history, especially someone like you who seem to be very much informed. You know, someone we can get a lot of history or information from you. So I was saying that those wherever, even for us, wherever one join or wherever you're in, to learn a little more about it for the future. So that's what I was referring to, because you said you were not aware of when the ATU was established. Secondly, you said there were foreign threats and foreign forces. Could you please name some of the foreign forces that the president or this government had to encounter within the period 2001 to 2003?
Okay, yes ma'am. We had, at the time, our forces were engaging enemy forces from the Sierra Leone border. In fact, from Sierra Leone, we had common jaws from Sierra Leone coming and crossing our borders, causing mayhem on our people. We had Guinean troops coming out of Guinea, attacking our people on our soil, in Zozo and in Lofa. So I refer to them as the foreign threats. We also had domestic threats, which came from the Liberian forces that were within Lur and that were within Model. They are the ones that I refer to as domestic threats.
As a trainer, which you gave as your position, did you carry out within the period 2001 to 2003, did you personally carry out?
Affirmative.
Affirmative?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what kind of arms did you carry? Or did you manage? Did you hold? Did you have in your possession? What kind? How many? Within the period 2001 to 2003?
Yes, ma'am. During the period 2001 to 2003, I was exposed to a variety of weapons, from a sidearm to an anti-aircraft weapon.
Did you have the opportunity at any time, event, place, date, between the period 2001 to 2003 to use a sidearm or anti-aircraft weapon or any of the other kind of weapons? Did you personally?
Affirmative.
When, which situation, and whether on the front line or at the mansion or in the vicinity where the commander-in-chief or any of the people who you were supposed to be taking care of? That would be good if you can give us the information.
Yes, ma'am. For the record, wherever I had to use a firearm, bayonet, or pistol to an assault rifle, to an anti-aircraft weapon. I use it, I deploy it in a hostile environment.
You use it in a hostile environment.
In a hostile environment, yes ma'am.
Could you give us one example of a hostile environment that you had to encounter between 2001 and 2003, a hostile environment to the nation or the commander-in-chief for which you took an oath to protect?
Yes ma'am. I would need, for example, the top number Bombing Hill Highway.
Which year was it?
Pardon me ma'am?
What year?
This was in 2002.
Okay.
In 2003, the Burkina Lock Highway, and in 2002 also the Kakata Monrovia Highway. Wherever we form the enemy of the state, anywhere we form Lure or Model, we will hold with the responsibility to neutralize those enemies, those forces, those threatening forces.
And in an attempt to successfully neutralize those forces, which I assume you all did you realize or recognize or had the opportunity to stay long enough, because we know you do what you have to do and get off the scene to go to protect yourself? But did you have the time or occasion to recognize whether there were any casualties as a result of those incidents?
Affirmative, man. Again, for the record, we were at a full-scale war. So definitely, in any part of the world where there is war, where weapons is being discharged, there will be casualties, there will be human casualties, there will be collateral damages.
Did you have the opportunity also to get any, since they were foreign troops or prisoners of war, and can you tell us what did you do with those prisoners of war?
They were brought back to the rear of the troop lines. Those prisoners that surrendered to our forces were brought and placed in confinement at the was it the Central Street prison there? Yeah, that's where we brought them. Some of them. The ones that were caught on a man watch were brought to Central Street. Because we, at that time, was observing the Geneva Convention that governed armed conflicts.
Thank you very much for your contribution to history. And the last question, within a period of time from 1991 to 2003, did you have the unfortunate situation of becoming wounded, or did you get wounded, or anything happened to you during that period? You were always successful in to tell the story today. Of course, I see you still alive because you're telling us the story, but did you encounter any situation where you were ambushed or any danger or so?
Well, Madam Commissioner, I can say here today that Yahweh has been very great to me. During the time mentioned, He has kept me, and He's continuing to keep me. So all my body parts are intact, and I'm doing well.
Thank you very much, and I hope between the period that you get your rabbi here, so Liberian people will get to know more about Yahweh, because Yahweh, what do you call him? Yahweh, Emmanuel, God, anything, there is one supreme being. So thank you very much. Thanks for contributing, and may Yahweh continue to prosper you and bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Commissioner. I'm glad to be of help.
Yes.